standards, brand redesign, technology infrastructure renew. I'm already working on that. Ensure staff hour allocation is accurate. POS payment system structure, reinstate Rule 6, again goes with this one up here. Website review, refresh, grants, they have bonds, loans, SRF, and we're looking at our contracts and bids as well, the forms for those.
So
To try to get to the abbreviated ones for lesser
Yes.
Yes.
cost items.
that which,
Oh, we already had the matrix too.
Because
Yep.
it's not on there, and we
Okay.
talked about that last time, somehow one
yeah,
number.
succession planning. Yep.
What are you writing?
Insurance.
I wrote matrix for insurance because we did that already. We had talked about doing that for the contracts and the bids. We have a square, like if this, then you need this coverage. If this, you need this coverage. If this, you need this coverage. And then succession.
But the main focus on that was to differentiate between the 42-page contract specs that go out for $1 million item versus,
Anything over 195.
Yeah, this helps us get down to
Right.
that
Yeah.
five-page thing.
So anytime a bid comes up, we have to, didn't realize we were on the last year of our audit. Got to put that out. Got to either solicit quotes or bid that out. So, you know, all of these things are happening in the background. We've got the Ameriscape bid coming out soon, working with those subcommittees. A
All
lot.
things
We got the
contract.
security contract up at Stony Brook.
Yep. So
Gate access, sorry.
working with them on that.
Oh, road turnover.
Wouldn't that be under there, or is that
Yeah,
admin?
that's you.
Admin, Stony Brook road turnover.
yeah.
We can have them on there too.
And I'd like to get a
We just
definition
got the easement on that.
of bids, quotes. I mean, we got so many terms we use,
Statute.
they
It
they
all
mean
goes-
different things.
It all goes by statute, yeah.
Same thing.
All right. So out of all of these things, how many can you count require outside assistance?
So
When you say outside, you mean like Tony?
Anybody other than staff?
Yeah.
Just about everything.
Tony's
in
gonna be involved
conjunction
in
or
several of those.
100%?
Have to weigh in at some point.
Absolutely, assessment methodology.
That one,
contract.
that one,
This
Hand-
one,
yeah. Handbook has to be approved by our HR attorney,
All
this
the
one,
benefits. yeah.
benefits.
yeah. Brand redesign, we've already had an outside person do that. Point of sale,
That goes with.
website, grants, Touch Text helped us write a bunch of grants.
This is definitely outside.
Stephen Bloom and Pedro,
Contracts, Tony.
Tony,
Bids, Tony.
Matrix.
Insurance is our insurance people.
We had our insurance people
This
weigh
is
in.
legal.
So everything is beyond our control, right? Bill, you want to kind of go over yours?
We load
I'll-
Tony's
I'll
wagon
do it.
up, we load Tony's wagon up, and we haven't got middle ages, but.
Mr. Shaw,
Okay,
what do we have?
Lower Hawthorne well, which is in progress. The irrigation pump station generator, it's in progress, waiting on the generator to be delivered. Meter replacement, the beginnings of that are in progress. It'll be a multi-phase thing and with Chelsea's goals. Sanitary and sewer inspection, we're working on getting the bid documents together for that. Valve replacement, that's an ongoing yearly thing as budget allows that we're gonna be doing. Utility storage building, we're still waiting on a
Waiting on
permit.
freaking permits.
Update the utility building rules and PCM. I know Leslie's been working on that.
You'll talk about Thursday.
Yeah.
Need direction.
Utility building software upgrade. Leslie and Laura have been discussing that and what that's gonna look like
That'll be post meter replacement.
to go with the new meters.
Potentially.
Lift station rehabs, panels and wet wells, that's an annual ongoing thing that we'll be doing. The wet well rehabs all involve outside contractors. Some of the panels we can do in-house, some of them will end up involving outside contractors, depending on the arrangement of the station and existing electrical configurations. Sewer manhole rehabs, that'll involve outside contractors. High service pump and motor, one a year. We're at that point where if we start doing one pump and motor a year and having it rebuilt, now we'll be in a constant 5-year rotation. Stony Brook Lift Station, I can only assume that you wrote this to do in line with the odor control.
Yep.
Which is in progress. We have a meeting set up with Tetra Tech and their odor control people on Friday. They're going to tell us how they're going to collect more data and give us a recommendation for moving forward for the future. And then our service line inventory, this will go in line with the full deployment meter box replacement. We'll get the completion of the rest of that data in that process to be in compliant with DEP.
Do we have catch basin cleanouts up there?
That's public works.
That's on this one.
This one. All right, so looking at that one, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, pretty much all of them.
Pretty much all.
Outside assistance.
And what's your point there, just for calling that out?
Things take time. You know, if we're waiting on Tony for a week.
The outside dependencies.
Yes,
Okay.
that slow the process down. So when we talk about delays of deliverables, 9 times out of 10, we're waiting on somebody else. If it's Tetra Tech, if it's a regulatory agency to review, whatever it may be. So, all right.
Can you look, do we have catch basin on that?
Yeah, it's on there.
Clean out, and do we have the FP&L easement?
The linear park.
Yeah, the water dump.
Oh, we didn't.
Oh, Springfield?
Oh, the force main
Force
irrigation.
main and irrigation project.
Oh, at the,
Yeah, down that field.
yeah, FPL easement, yeah, good one.
Just had a call about that this morning too. All right. Mr. Potter? I feel like your list is supposed to be a lot longer than that.
It is because there's subtasks that are basically essential to all of these in order to make them work. Starting off with the FPL light conversion project, phases 1, 2, and then maybe possibly 3 in Pelican if you all decide to get on board with that after you see what it looks like on our side. The irrigation design, RWA that we're doing the design, and then eventually the implementation to replace the current irrigation
Control system.
Yes.
contract. The admin building and park, which was Chelsea's number 1 for me.
Yeah.
But it's somewhere in there, depending
Very.
on where the regulatory will allow us to move forward with it. Pond rehabs across the board, both Pelican and in Gateway. And
How many
that's-
do we have right now? 6,
Have we
7,
have left?
8. That queued up for this dry season. MRI 4, we've got
We got 2 left
10,
for Mount
12,
Marriott.
14. 14 pond bank restoration queued up for this,
Over here,
including your 2 in Pelican,
you
or
say there's 2 that there's,
including
under
your 2 in,
consideration.
including your 2 in Pelican. 14, so it's potentially
14 different contractors, possibly.
possibly.
Well,
No, we're doing
it's going to probably be
MHs.
like 7
yeah,
different
but we have
contractors.
over here much
Metara
better.
Multiple,
has
multiple
2,
different projects
MRI has
concurrently
4.
happening.
6 potentially.
The projects
Yeah.
over here are much costly than 2 over there.
6 or 7.
Still a staff
It's
lift,
fine. Still
regardless,
has to
yeah.
be
The stormwater basin cleaning, like we just finished up one basin and continuing to inspect and then repair. The soccer fields, looking at the general grounds, irrigation, the sod, the soil or the water runoff and shed, but also looking at the lights because they're starting to come to end of their life cycle. Some of them are leaning pretty bad.
Let me-
There's outdated lights.
Let me go back to the ponds real quick. So I was talking to Doug about this separately. So on the Gateway side, with the SRF funding, we have to get our application in to them 90 days in advance, which means Tetra Tech we have to do a task authorization with Tetra Tech. They have to perform the design. or, whatever it is that they have to do, put together the application 90 days in advance of June 15th for funding for next fiscal year. So we're a year ahead looking. So if you said stop ponds right now, we still have construction for next year. Or if you said, hey, we don't want to do any more ponds after these, we have, there's planning, I guess is my point, is because of the funding source.
We need a real big evaluation before we make that leap.
No,
Yeah.
but whatever, the point is,
There's a lot more. When you do the backward planning from the main milestones that happen through there, you dial it back 18 months.
Yeah.
By the time you're actually executing, getting that thing done
Yeah.
on ground.
We just got approval for fiscal 26 design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From SRF.
So soccer fields, Public Works building down there behind the soccer field that's still in
The
limbo
marsh.
with
The marsh.
the marsh with permitting. Miscellaneous road projects, the Vincenzas,
you got three of them.
yeah, there's a bunch of them. The one's about to start off of, what's it, Bellagio? I think it's
Yeah.
Bellagio. Monuments, redesigning, maintaining, bringing up to a standard that isn't falling apart. The lighting that we're working on with Craney, that's been approved.
And the irrigation changes.
And the irrigation for like drip lines where we can affect that so that, we're not getting staining on the monuments as we put all this money
Drip
into it.
lines,
Yeah.
LEDs, all of it.
All of it. Big push for me is really capturing the asset management side of the house, using Cartograph as an asset management tool as it's designed. Right now, it's more of a customer service complaint box with like see, click, fix feeds right into it. So that's where the population's giving feedback to us, utilities, myself, admin, everybody's getting things in there that come through and, they're relevant. They're things that actually fall into our lane, but it's a way that the local population,
And that's the
residents.
internal, that's not Passerella, correct?
Correct.
This is
No, we
internal.
have to
Yeah.
work on converting over.
Okay.
And then converting it so that it's all mapped out too on GIS to say, okay, I have an asset, it's sitting at this location, and there's an asset tag on there to be able to, every time I go touch that asset and say, I rehabbed it, refurbed it, I fixed a switch on it or whatever, we can put a note in there so that we can track the life cycle of that asset and then be able to get more proactive about, okay, we're at the 20-year life cycle, we know things start breaking down, O&M costs start driving and spiking real heavy at this point. Where do I need to really put my focus on in budgeting for my CIP and looking at what we're going to need to really focus on
Do you
over
have a
some years.
master list of all the assets?
Working on it.
I know we have one.
Yeah, we find new stuff every day.
Yeah.
So, but that was one of the biggest problems. One of the biggest struggles for me when I came on was from one neighborhood to the next, the rules change. Who owns what roads? Who owns what lights? Who owns what stop signs? Who owns that roundabout? Who owns,
You're
right?
exactly
Like,
right.
and who's responsible for the
It's
work
only
being
taken
done?
us 2 years to get there.
Yeah, so that was one of the hardest things, I think, for future management. If I left tomorrow, Chelsea left, everybody left, if you had that, they'd be able to go in and say, I have an asset here, this is the current state of it, this is how long it's been in the ground, when's it gonna be needed to be
The
looked at
last
to.
thing we did to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? So that's a big one for me that I'm trying to push. What's this one?
Pond
say?
aeration.
Pond aeration,
Haven't even
we haven't
touched.
even broached yet. I think this one's a redundant.
Public work building.
Yeah, public work buildings, redundant. I'll expand on this one even more so, is just you've got the landscape contract on the gateway side, but then you have all the other contracts that kind of fall into my wheelhouse as well. You've got the security contracts, any
Health
other,
and-
any
health
of the other
and-
contracts, even the holiday lighting, you know what I mean? There's a lot of management there on the contract side of the house.
Remind me again, when's our mainscape contract up? 2 years?
But we
Three.
just,
We
we
just
just renewed
renewed.
it, yeah,
3.
we got 3.
Now, just for 1 second, talking about that, the landscape contract, the security contract, the holiday lighting, those are all handled at the subsystem level, but you oversee what they're trying to do, correct? From a work point of view.
Yes and no.
Okay.
It
Well,
becomes a,
educate, because
if,
I'm thinking they're handling it, and I'm hearing you
Let,
are handling it.
let me intervene. So the holiday lighting's a perfect example.
Yep.
Okay. Sherry went out and negotiated and,
Yep, got Ed's outfit, because
Okay,
they did a better job.
but we don't do deposits. That was on the
Okay.
form that she gave. It wasn't part of our standard contract form that requires them to have insurance and things like that. So you guys did the legwork and got the quote, but then behind the scenes, he's got to get the PO issued. Randy has to make sure that the contract is right and have Tony bless it, get it executed on both sides, and then issue a, hey, this is good to go.
Okay, let's just back up on that one, just as an example. 25,000? I think is what it came
Yeah,
out
that
at.
one was about 25,000.
25,000 shouldn't require a whole lot of hashing.
No.
We got these people, they want to do it, we like it, Ed's already used it, sign it. Why do we have to go through all of these vetting processes?
It's
It's
just,
a minor dollar item.
Regulatory legislative law.
If people,
Which-
if
Excuse me, but,
people are
CCNA
doing
is a
work in
law.
the district, they have to make sure that they meet certain insurance requirements as
okay,
well. 'cause they're
and
taking
Ice
themselves.
Simpson's is a known
So,
quantity, and a
yeah.
known vendor, and he's done it.
I understand that, but his insurance requirements may not be the same as what we need here.
he met everything. We just
Yeah.
had to go through that.
We just had to
go
vet
through-
it.
It's just, we create so many levels of bureaucracy for a nickel and dime item. It's a friggin' Christmas light. 25 grand, sign it and move on.
But at the end of the day, is your name on the line when I'm the one that's signing the contract
No,
that
no,
have to
we'll
meet
sign it. The
CCNA
chairman will sign
regulations?
it. That's
I mean-
not a problem either. There's no escaping responsibility.
Yeah.
The chairman of that subsystem is more than willing to sign
They
it.
don't have the authority to sign
It's
it.
district.
There's where the
license.
problem is. I think they should for those levels, small amounts of money. That's the whole point of my conversation. We're making problems out of nothing, and we need to be more efficient and more nimble. I've
Do,
said that.
do away with the subcommittees and we'll be the most efficient.
Well, then it won't get done. You don't have the staff to do all the crap they do,
We're
nor do
doing,
we want to get you that much.
we're touching most of it anyway.
Moving on.
Well, is there any sympathy for what I'm saying here on this? I mean,
I think there's a compromise somewhere in the middle, but I think we can't go into contracts and not make sure they've got insurance. You know,
There ought
'cause
to
the
be
risk falls back
dollar
on us.
yeah, but the dollar level should be significant enough that it's a risk.
Well, that's
I
what,
agree with you.
that's why we're gonna work on that
I am
criteria.
all in favor of streamlining process and becoming as efficient as possible. So, I mean, trimming fat where it is, but identifying what are things that are must have.
So Tony sent a tentative draft of what he thought would be reasonable. I made some edits to it, and now we have to bring it back to you guys for your consideration, and I think the number was like 50s. Bob, truth
Oh,
be
for
told.
that, well,
For anything
the
under,
global,
yeah,
yeah. So the 25 would fall under that no matter
yeah.
what.
As
I'm
long
just
as they
trying to
met
be
the
efficient.
insurance requirements, that's really, in
No,
that
I know where
W-9.
you're coming from, and I think but I can see staff's point of view as well, but I would never go. I don't know if all of my revisions, if I'm looking to be efficient, come from my attorney, right? Because
Yeah.
they're gonna want to add.
They're red
So
tape.
I think that's
They're
where.
They're gonna
like,
red tape it.
My attorney is never the end all be all to, this is what,
There's business decisions and there's legal
When he
decisions.
says yes, it's a 3-page memo, we all understand.
Double-sided.
Some simple items, and that's the whole point of it. Ed had a good system over his, he recommended it to me last year because I asked him about it. They did lights at the monument, and they spent the same money that we spent, and didn't get half the service. So the subcommittee contacted his people, they said, who do you use? We use X, Y, and Z. I don't know, I wouldn't know any idea. But we have a known quantity with a known product and history, and yet this can't be simple. I think that's what.
Bob, I'm pretty sure we gave them the contract for the Gateway side too.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we awarded it on the
We did.
Gateway
Same
side.
people?
Yeah,
No, I don't know, but I mean, Pelican had somebody we overpaid. It was a castle.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was, because we had them quote too.
But we-
Anyway,
Okay,
But
just
we're,
trying to
we're
make
gonna,
it simple.
we're working on streamlining it.
Trust me, I'd prefer it to be simple because take the security contract. It's above a threshold for dollar sign. I have to work it through the Safety Security Council, then I gotta work it
question
through
about that one. That's a
PPAC,
big
then
one.
I get it to the board for a final
That's a
decision.
big one. We're talking
You know what I
close to $1
mean?
million. I
So
understand that.
there's a lot more behind it than,
Yeah. All right, what else you got?
the Parks and Rec programs. You're starting to see a lot more events, a lot more interaction with the community, a lot more sponsorship programs. We wrote up the sponsorship program on our website. There's a lot more heavy programming going on with the Parks and Rec side of the house.
Who's
Including
managing those programs?
Carrie.
Carrie,
Okay.
including, your trunk or treat, all the other things that go.
Vagabonds,
Yeah, there's
fishing tournament.
a whole approved list that everybody here approved off on to start working coordination, getting more nested with the community and getting their involvement and sponsoring and being a part of these items, of these programs. Just general facility maintenance and management across the board, this building, all the pool,
The guardhouses.
the guardhouse, any of the facilities that just, hey, this widget broke, that toilet broke, that door's lock got broke,
Had an electrical issue over the weekend with the
Yep.
pool. Bill was out there trying to troubleshoot that since the power flickered last week, but it's literally a team effort here.
You've got I'll put this into the miscellaneous roadway projects, some of the Benito speed hump, the
What
bike
is that?
lanes,
Pelican stuff.
stuff for
This is something
Pelican.
that's been going on for 2 years. We're trying to slow down traffic coming from Pelican Reserve Boulevard into the town center. There's one community affected. We have rumble strips that nobody likes. They voted a year ago to put in the speed hump, and we're still waiting.
You're in the
Permitting.
city though,
Permanent
right?
city,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. We can't do it over here.
And we got a bike lane.
Okay,
Same thing.
so now that you've seen each category, we're gonna go back, we're gonna update the list, we're gonna get it to you guys tonight, but I want you to start to think about, second or third tier priorities. Well, you know what my priorities are, which is what you all dictate, but,
What do you mean, beyond these?
so like with Daniel, and you see this laundry list that he has up here, what is your next priority? Is it the Pelican ponds and then the Gateway ponds, or are they all as one, and then we do the road project? I mean, we know what our priorities are.
Well, several of these things you can do multiples at a time because you have vendors doing them.
Yeah.
The ones that are the problematic are the ones to where staff has a large involvement, which is time limiting.
When a contractor decides that they're gonna change their methods and means and run a line across 4 lanes of traffic and create damage issues, and now we have a huge customer service spike of having to answer, trust me.
The one thing that we don't have,
What
and
the hell is that all about?
I don't know if we
Yeah.
need to get to, I don't know if we need to get to this level, but
Pelican.
when you have a list of 89 priorities, we don't have any type of priority score. And it might be something we look into, which is like, it's the value versus effort over severity and risk and.
Some of them are government
Right.
required.
Yeah, so there is a formula, and you can come up with a priority scale, and it's a little bit of an exercise, but once you establish it, and you go through the exercise of what's the severity, what's the priority, what's the level of effort, and then you've got a score. Boom, you sort, and that tells you what you're, so it's not, again, it's not subjective, it's quantifiable, but that's, once you start getting to a list as large as this, I mean, how do you maintain a priority list of 89? And how do you, as 5 people, if we were to stack rank that, I mean, we could probably get through maybe the first 10, but after that, it's like, shit, how do you get to that point? And the great thing about that is, as you revisit it, certain things, let's say a pond, one particular pond now has more erosion, and now there's a risk, so that severity gets changed, which bumps it up the list. So I think that might be something we work on, is creating
Well,
a priority score.
That would come from my management and then dictating that down.
So we've got ponds that are now 5, 6, 7 years done that we need to revisit on maintenance.
Yeah.
Because
Or
stone's gotta be brought in and
Yeah, just gotta
everything.
bring in stuff. Generally,
Yeah.
that's all we've seen is yes.
Yeah.
But try to keep it over mind, because I'm really trying to be honest about this. Daniel brought up pond 36, the fact we had pipes going over the road, and although that's very true. Now, from Bob's perspective, pond 36 was a pond. We had a known supplier, Copeland, gave us a cost of $190,000 to put in our coconut mesh, and Doug decided to go through the more laborious process. We got staff involved, and they went out to bids, and the bids came in at $300,000, because the guy who was gonna do it for $190,000 wouldn't participate in the bids, too cumbersome. And then we ended up with somebody we didn't know, so we got somebody we don't know, and he's got a bid of $300,000, and then we put $65,000 for Tetra Tech to watch, supervise, construct, I don't know. But it went from now, we're from 190 to 365. And then what happens when the guy shows up, as Dan alluded to, this bozo decided to run 8-inch pipes right across 4 lanes of highway. So people are coming down in the dark, because nobody knew he was doing it. And they hit this thing, and they're bouncing in their cars, and we got damage, we got people hurt and all this.
He's not the only bozo though.
Well,
So that, I mean, yes, I
Well, I
have
just
like 13, 15 people that I manage, but realistically, I've got 100+ when you add
Well,
contractors.
yeah, I understand all
What
that.
was, wait a minute, why didn't he put the?
We don't know that, because he's
He
an
was-
idiot.
But what was he accomplishing?
He was
draining down-
supposed to put it-
draining down the pond, and he didn't.
He was
drain
supposed to
down
put it
into
underground.
process.
What did the specs say how he was to do it?
It was
was not that. He deviated, like I said, he
Not
deviated.
doing
from
what,
the-
what?
He didn't do it right.
He was supposed to drain into an inlet that was right there.
And he
So in
did.
other words, the specifications told him what to do,
And he
he
deviated.
just didn't do
He did
it.
something else.
But the real message is, Ed, not that. that's-
He could have saved half their money if they just put.
The real money, we got a $365,000 project, we could have done for 190, I
Okay.
wouldn't have that issue.
But listen, but one thing, so let's say that same thing happens.
Okay.
Somebody drives over, hits it, wrecks their car, and something, crazy happens. If we don't have those insurance, if we don't have the things in there, then we are held liable, and then now we got a bigger, so that's the, and again, I don't like
understand.
managing the risk that way, but
I understand that, but now here's the other side of that, Doug,
Yeah.
is if we got the guy that's worked in our community for 8 years, we know he knew what to do. We wouldn't have had that problem. But because we brought somebody in, we didn't.
we gotta find that happy medium. I understand what you're talking about.
That's all I'm saying. And we keep that threshold down to the 190, and we go with known people, and I don't care which one of the known. But we have a number of
That's,
known people.
that's what we talked about earlier. You've got to get this thing broken down into construction versus maintenance. And then sub-part of that is maintenance requires engineering work to be done, and maintenance doesn't require engineering work.
Here's an
There's
idea,
two different types of maintenance.
But when we're just putting coconut mesh down. we
Well,
don't
but here's an idea too. So what we do is, we have very lengthy contracts, because we have to cover a lot of stuff, some of it's government, whatever. But we create a preferred vendor list, so they are
Pre-qualified.
pre-qualified, So, and I know we do that in some cases, but we know probably the 10 people we're gonna use for various projects, so why don't we pre-qualify everyone?
I agree, I totally and completely agree,
And,
but it
and
didn't
then,
happen.
it's
But you
it's
still
a
bid.
yeah, well, but
Still gotta-
You get quotes.
yeah, but what I'm saying is like, maybe it's more of a statement of work, because you've got a master service agreement on hand or something. So there's creative ways we can get there.
And that's all I'm trying to do, is all in the boat going the same way. It's, if we go out to a site to do work, and we know it's under 195, we think. Okay, you know how many foot it is, you know what it costs. Then you get 3 or 4 guys that show up out there with the Ponds guys, with Daniel's people, with that, we want to put coconut mesh down here. Go give us some bids of those.
Well, because I would like to think that Bill, Daniel, and Chelsea, and Laura, they would like to do, the least amount of paperwork.
I wish I
And this
felt
process.
that way.
I wish I could sole source. CCNA does not allow us to sole source. It's not competitive or advantageous
So
to the
if we just
district.
operate on the assumption that they would like the simplest solution available,
Well, no, so if you do a preferred vendor, you're
Under,
you're,
only 190,000, stay in that price range.
doesn't matter what the price range is.
195 is for maintenance.
If you pre-qualify them, you're still taking them through a vetting process
Vetting
that pre-qualifies. Then you just put them on a list, and at the beginning of every time that you go back, so like say I need CEI, and I have a preferred vendor list of engineers, I start at the top, do you have the capability and capacity to take on CEI for this project? No, next vendor down, because they get racked and stacked after,
Pre-negotiated rates.
at their pre-negotiated rates. But then, now there's another side to that too, is that you gotta go back periodically and redo those bids again, just like you were bidding it out. That's not a bid, it's
Well, maybe it's
What's
my
it called?
ignorance of not
qualification,
understanding. But it
yeah.
used to be simple, it used to be cost effective, and it's neither now. That's the frustration.
And a lot of that, again, is regulatory requirements outside of our control. That is
Well, I'm-
above us.
I'm
That
suggesting it's
legislatively
not.
tells us to do what we
Here's
do.
what I
It's not,
said.
you're gonna pay in the lower dollar value.
We have what I call the pre-bid documents, not the specifications, not the detailed specs, the front-end documents. Last time I saw it was 39 pages long. How do you go through there and cut out 50% of that stuff
Yeah,
right
that's
off
a-
the bat?
That's a self.
That is the stuff that should not be in there.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap this meeting, and then we can still keep talking, but then we promise.
Yeah,
to
now I'm
be
sure
faster
what
too.
way to go, so.
So,
All right.
what's gonna happen is, you're going to take this back, you're gonna have,
Georgia,
send out the plan tonight.
She's gonna send it out tonight, yes?
We'll have copies in the morning when we get here, and we're gonna do the deep dive into the plan, and kind of revise it, rewrite it, and really emphasize the execution part, so that we can make sure that we have a plan, not just a plan, but a way to execute that plan in the future. Fair enough?
Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody.
all right.
thank you.
Okay, gosh. Those are the right terms, and I need to get that.